Shalom, Shalom, Jerusalem, and we're praying for true shalom to come to Jerusalem, to Israel, true peace. And I believe that's only through the Prince of Peace. I'm talking tonight about, is peace possible? What an appropriate song to sing. Shalom, Shalom, Jerusalem. Is peace possible? Understanding the current Middle East crisis. We really want to hear from you. 888-777-0782. 888-777-0782 to phone in with your questions. And I've written a booklet, Is Peace Possible? Understanding the current Middle East crisis. I've really made it very, very simple. It's a dummies book. That's why I wrote it, because I'm a dummy, and I wrote it to my fellow dummies. I'm just kidding. But I really want you to understand what's going on over there, because all of us, I believe, who know the Lord are to understand God's plan and purpose for the land of Israel, and I want to help you to understand that, and that's why I wrote the booklet. You can get it by going online, and it'll give you directions on how, jewishvoice.org. Rana, what do you think of all this? You've been going, you're connected to Israel very closely.
Well, yeah, my mom lives there. She's up in the north, and you know, as you were showing the maps and showing the pictures of the Golan Heights, I was just like thinking, it's kind of a no-brainer strategically that we need that land. Because if you ever go to Israel, you'll see this is a plateau, and it's so easy for enemy forces to come down and shoot those bombs over. And it's just, it's ludicrous to me.
You have to see it to understand it, but you have to really see the Golan Heights.
You know?
Dennis, we have some other questions that have been coming in by email.
Yes, Jonathan, here's one. I heard a teaching a long time ago that back in the 1940s, Jews from all over the world sent whatever money they could pull together and sent it to Jews in Palestine, the Jewish Fund, I believe, and brought much of the original land of Israel from 3 Arab families. Is this true?
It is true, in fact. In fact, we've been paying for this land numerous times. Abraham paid for areas of this land in his day. King David paid for Jerusalem in his day, and throughout the period under the Ottoman Empire, previous to 1917, in fact, land was being purchased from the Turks, and in fact, a lot of that, the monies for the land came from the famous Rothschild family. So this is absolutely true. Now, that's not the case, as far as I understand, from 1917 to 1948 under the British, but the Ottomans, the Turks, controlled this land, and the Jewish people paid large amounts of money for significant amounts of this land. That's absolutely true.
So it really is a scam when the Palestinians say, we've been here for generations and generations.
No, it's not. It's not a scam that the Palestinian people live there. They live there also. Arabs have lived there for centuries, but to say that they predated the Jewish people is not true. That's revisionist history. And the other thing that's revisionist history is that this land belonged to them. It never belonged to them. It belonged to the Ottoman Empire, to the Turks. It belonged to the British. It belonged to Jordan. It belonged to Egypt during different times of history, but there never was any sort of autonomous Palestinian state. That's an absolute fallacy. Dennis, we have another question?
Well, we have a telephone call coming in, and are you on the line? Hello?
Hello, hello. Oh. They hung up. Call back. 888-777-0782. We'd love to hear from you. 888-777-0782.
Well, I do have a little side thing here for you, Jonathan. It's an email that says, please tell Uncle Jonathan happy first day of summer from his niece, Tiva, in New York.
Hi, Tiva. If you're watching, that means my brother Dave is watching also, and love to you both, and happy summer to you. Actually, it's been summer here for a long time. It's only technically summer, but we've had summer for a long time. Remember, it's Phoenix. But I'll tell you, studio audience, it is nice and cold in here, isn't it? Cool? Cool enough. If where we are, it is like a refrigerator.
Yeah, I'm glad I've got this jacket
Hang
on.
your meat. If you come visit us, by the way, we do live tapings, and you can also join us for our live webcasts. but bring a blanket because sometimes it almost snows in here.
Yep.
We have a phone call, I understand, Dennis.
Yes, I think so. You're on the line?
Hello?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, tell us your name, where you're from, and your question.
TJ from Phoenix, and hi, Jonathan and Dennis.
Hey, TJ, how are you?
Very blessed. How you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
Wonderful. I had a question to ask you in regards to Obama's recent speech where he declared that Israel should return to the 1967 borders with the divided Jerusalem. Do you believe that that would be a fulfillment of, or at least a partial fulfillment of the scripture that talks about all nations will turn against Israel?
Very good question, TJ. Thank you for asking. I absolutely do. And really, America is one of the last holdouts as far as befriending Israel and supporting Israel. And with Obama making that declaration, which no president, by the way, Ron, in American history has ever made. And I want you to understand the seriousness of this statement. You have the U.S., President Obama in this case, like every president since Truman, so we're going back to the beginning of Israel, trying to broker some sort of a peace between Jews and Arabs. And then, of course, after 1967, concerted efforts. You have Clinton, and then certainly Bush 1, Bush Sr. trying to broker peace agreements, Jimmy Carter, and so on. No one has ever suggested that Israel returns to the 67 boundaries, because what we're talking about here is a moderator. Let's say you have a dispute between two parties, and you agree to seek arbitration. You go to an arbitrator, and their job is to find common ground, to find somewhere in the middle that the two parties can meet. And arbitration is binding, mediation is not. But you have a mediator in President Obama who is saying to one party, before we even begin, I'm asking you to accept 100% of what the other party's asking for. What negotiation is left? What do you do with that? What do you do with a moderator who's supposed to be, a mediator rather, who's supposed to be finding common ground to meet somewhere in the middle, and he makes the statement, go back to the 67 borders. All of the area that's in dispute, give it up. Where do you go from there? I believe that President Obama has disqualified himself as a mediator in this situation, and in fact is sending signals of a changing U.S. policy towards Israel that George W. Bush was very solid with. I'm very, very concerned about this, and I really think we may be seeing the fulfillment of Zechariah very soon when all nations do turn against Israel, but that would include the United States.